Hello, sir. Do you have time to learn about our Lord Jesus Christ? One here. Hey, I'm that one guy, the one who still can't find a better name for himself. Today, we're gonna talk about games based off of movies. What's your guys' problem? I got you that time. Alright, you've made your point. It's no surprise that people don't like video games based off of movies, and why would you? They're the most mediocre things that happen in the gaming world. They're rushed, lazy, and leave you nothing more than a feeling of wasted hours when you finish it.
Trying to like your reviews.
What? What'd you say?
I didn't say anything.
Boy, don't let me get my tongue, I swear to fucking God. It's not like I totally blame the developers, however. I get that studios want a game to come out at the same time as the movie, so the developers have only a small window of time to shell out a game for every platform. So, naturally, the quality of the game suffers. I always associate a movie licensed game by how much it actually feels like the movie it's tied to. If I can go play the game right after I'm finished watching the movie and still have those awesome feelings I had while watching the film, I'll think the developers did a pretty good job with it. The game I'm going to be looking into today is none other than Robert Ludlum's The Bourne Identity Conspiracy. Is there a difference? I get... You might not have heard about this game, released only a year after Ultimatum came out. The game is based off the first film in the trilogy, though depending on when you're viewing this, the next ones are already gonna be out. Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out here from the start. The game is really not that bad. What's the matter? Still don't remember it? Well, let's see if any more of this will jog your memory. As always, let's talk about the story first. Based on the Bourne identity, you step into the shoes of the badass killing machine known as Jason Bourne, who looks a lot more like Isaac Clarke than he does Matt Damon. Yeah, you guys were kinda on a tight leash, weren't you? I mean, you couldn't even get the same damn title. Which is kinda weird, cause it's the same as the freaking movie. Anyhow, you follow along that Bourne here is a professional killer who loses his memory after some high seas hijinks. With an incredible set of skills and not knowing where he got them, Bourne goes on a linear-ass mission to find out his true identity and what dark secrets lay in his past. Which is kind of pointless, seeing as how you start the game already knowing who and what exactly he is. If you've never even seen any of the Bourne movies, it kinda defeats the tension of trying to figure out who he is. See, right off the bat we're having problems here, but it's strictly from a story design standpoint. It just makes so much more sense to have the game start out the same way as the movie and have these assassination missions as flashbacks throughout the game. Even just this small scene in the park could have been the tutorial level. Or maybe just have the tutorial level be a flashback in the park. This scene could have easily served that well. Dude, you can even extend the hell out of it like you're doing it in the other levels of this game that are actually in the movie. I mean, I've seen Bourne Identity about a handful of times, but I know that the scene where you go up against not Clive Owen over here didn't end in a shootout in a barn. Or that his escape from the embassy was this intense. But I mean, I guess it makes sense. You have to stretch it out or else it's gonna be a really short level. I mean, I get that. I don't have any of the criticism towards the whole Wombosi levels in the beginning or the flashback missions because those weren't in the movie, so that doesn't cross any lines there. But as fun as some of these levels can be, they're really uninteresting. There's really no grab to the assassination missions because they feel more like filler to the actual story. Imagine you didn't know about the Bourne movies and the game started out like this. You have no idea what the real draw of the story is, which is Bourne trying to figure out who he is after the incident. And the fact that this incident happens so early in the game, you really don't know when the story is really gonna pick up. But just... I really hate what they do with the structure of the story in the game. I mean, doesn't it make just so much more sense to have it follow the same structure as the movie? Because it doesn't seem like they put too much thought into it. I guess they just assumed that people who played the game had watched the movie. But it just would have been so much better if this Wombosi level came at the same time as it did in the movie. You know, when he actually remembers that happening. Honestly, would that have been so hard? That would have followed the flow of the movie better, and especially draw in those who had never seen the movies. You know, they could have just sat down, the game started, and they would have been like, oh man, this looks interesting. And see, that curiosity would have kept the player going. You see, that already brings some points down on the feels like the movie factor. But if the story doesn't catch your eye, then the gameplay probably will. Let's start with the good things about the gameplay. The game is split up into two different segments, fist fighting and stealth shooting. What's stealth shooting, I hear you ask? Well, stealth shooting is shut the fuck up and keep watching my stupid I'll explain in a bit, okay? Jesus. The hand-to-hand segments are by far the best parts of the game, really capturing that brutality and impacts to the fights from the movie. When you get into a melee fight, the game goes into a sort of one-on-one camera angle, and your controls become basic. Weak, strong, block, kick, and takedown. When you're up in the fisticuffs, you can mix and match some of these for combos, and build up this little bar right here. Once it hits a certain point, you'll unlock a takedown, which is the coolest part of the game by far. If you got one of these saved up, you can open up a can of Chef Bourne RD's whoop ass. If you got one of these babies saved up, you can just jump into a fight, press B, and take them out in an awesome Bourne style. Even better when there's more than one dude at once, taking 2 or 3 of them down at the same time. The takedowns are context sensitive too, so you can use your environment to your advantage, giving them some of that tasty ass knowledge, and they result in some pretty sick fighting animations. Although they reuse these a few times. Okay, maybe more than a few. Okay, they reuse it a lot, but it looks cool. It looks cool. These are special takedowns you can do at any time, fighting, shooting, or running. Boss stages are always a treat to play, but they're pretty much fights with regular dudes with bigger health bars. Way bigger. I mean, look at this guy. He's massive. God. Once you figure out the most efficient combo, you start to use that all the time, and this game starts to get kinda repetitive. If you want me to tell you, it's strong, weak, strong, kick, block, repeat. Oh sure, you can mix it up a bit, but once your health starts dropping, you'll want to resort to that formula pretty quickly. Even more so when you just keep frickin' dying. Now, the stealth shooting parts of the game. Stealth shooting is a name I call a game that's both stealth and shooter, but more shooter than stealth. I mean, yeah, there's some obligatory stealth aspects, but there's less emphasis on that. It's not exactly Splinter Cell, if you get what I mean. Well, at least the new Splinter Cell. You'll find that this is when the game will start to slow down, same as your interest. The shooting segments are the hardest parts of the game, with some enemies being able to take huge amounts of punishment. But you'd think that the takedowns would help keep things fresh, right? Well, as you no doubt have seen from this gameplay, you pull these off using QuickTime events. Yeah, you know that thing everyone hates in games? Except God of War? 'Cause it's sick as hell. And I'd see why you'll hate it in this game, because if you can't pull these off in a takedown, the only thing it'll be taking down is your bar, and you gotta start it back up again. Whew. I thought somebody was actually gonna throw something at me again. Jesus! Is that an anvil? Who the hell uses anvils anymore? Whew. Well, the QTEs are also used in cutscenes, so have fun with that. They also crop up in the middle of a fight with enemies smart enough to try and use some takedowns on you. If you get it wrong, they get you with a pretty sick combo and it takes down a good chunk of your health. But it shouldn't be anything too challenging for you. There's no level that really asks of you to draw on every single one of your skills. It's always split up into different segments, and it rarely ever blends the two in a fight seamlessly. And even in one of these sick fights, the contextual stuff isn't really all that useful outside of boss fights. But even there, you're just repeating the same kind of formula with the other fights. There's only one boss fight in the whole game that really feels like it's designed around the mechanics, and that's the apartment fight. Midway through the fight, the guy takes out a knife and he starts to take down more of your health than usual, and you gotta use the right environmental takedowns to screw him up real good and make him think twice before playing stabby. And the game doesn't flat out tell you what environmental takedown to use, you gotta figure that one out yourself. And you may have already used this takedown before you took out the knife, so you gotta think about what's around you before spamming the takedown on whatever you use, like you do in other fights. And this is all just one level, and I think it's the best one. There's only one other level that breaks away from the whole formula of this game, and that's the driving level. That one I feel is just a really nice change of pace. It's really fun, really exciting car chase, just like the movie. So hey, you got some points up. The ending of the game is the exact kind of thing as before. The final level is a real stretch from the movie. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and I guess the developers just thought they needed some big climactic fight in a church. And while that does sound cool, and part of it is cool, again, it's the same kind of stuff as before. Nothing really that makes you use your skills like the apartment level does. So other than that, what else is left? Well, you got some passports you can collect? Okay, well, I mean, I guess there's some pretty fine context there. I mean, we've all seen in the movies that Bourne's got a whole stash of passports. Maybe he just, I don't know, he accidentally flushed them down the toilet and now he's got to go find them again. To find Bourne's lost passports, collect all of them, and 100 gamer score, you win! Other than that, what is there? Just Bourne sends, just tells you where to go, uses up your thing. In all, this is a hard game for me to recommend for a good number of reasons. It uses the same kind of mechanics over and over with little change in between. To top it off, you'll finish the game pretty damn fast. Like 5 to 6 hours fast. Hell, I came into it thinking it was going to be all 3 movies I was going to play. But nope, that's what it is. You'll still have fun with the game, although it'll piss you right off at some points. You can still pick it up for at least like $5, so you'll be getting your money's worth. My only advice, don't expect too much out of it. It's just a good way to kill some time and have fun if you've got nothing else to play. So yeah, there it is, folks. I'm that one guy, and I'm gonna get some rest because I look tired. And points for you if you got my reference.